So right now I'm in Gothenburg, right? This is in Sweden. It's a country of 10 million people, but it's a country that produces like a disproportionate amount of unicorns per capita versus anywhere else in the world outside the US. Mojang, who created Minecraft, you've got Spotify, you've got Klarna, like so many of these companies, alright? And it has free healthcare, generous parental leave, and a proper functioning welfare state. I keep thinking about this a lot because Tom Blomfield, who was the founder of Monzo, he said that the UK has everything that you basically want to have a strong startup ecosystem. There's plenty of capital, you have a finance centre of the world in London right there, you have an enormous amount of deep tech talent, you have a high geographical density of a lot of these top universities as well. And we have one thing that they don't have in the US, which is that if you get fired, we still have the NHS and you don't go bankrupt just because you got an ear infection. So we have all of that there, but then why do a lot of people still go find like the safer careers, whether it's like the law, the consultants, whatever? Like a lot of my friends are in these industries and I've got no hate towards anyone who goes into any of those careers, but I don't think we sell enough like how good we have it here to be able to take a risk. And I think the solution is like something that we can actually pull off, which is first understand the problem of, I think Britain has a risk problem. Two of them actually, and the first one is cultural. It feels like it's almost ingrained in our national psyche as British people. Maybe not tall poppy syndrome, but like it's almost like we don't let people grow in the first place. If they somehow manage to grow, we try and chop them down. That is tall poppy syndrome. But a lot of times we don't fully let them be ambitious to like a ridiculous extent. We lose out on a lot by not being able to do that. I don't know what it is, if it's like this kind of miserliness or there are good bits of it as well, right? We don't let, you're never going to get like a Donald Trump or a Kanye in the UK because like we don't allow that kind of egomaniacness. But then at the same time, we're not going to maybe get the biggest companies in the world. I watched James Dyson, like the founder of Dyson, talk about this on David Semmer's podcast, and he was saying he failed 5,127 times. He counted it every time. I'm at a stage where I'm at around 500 failures and counting, hopefully. Just getting into it. You learn so much more from that failure and taking that risk in the first place. So why don't we try and encourage it more? That cultural psyche of, it's cool if you fuck up, man. It's cool if you fuck up, because it's cool to try. Like, I think that's a really important thing. The second part of the problem is the political problem when it comes to risk. I think we're at this time right now where people like Gary Stevenson and Zach Polanski are really blowing up because of this kind of tax wealth, not work mantra that Gary popularized. And I think there is some merit to what he's saying. I'm not going to be voting for the Greens, but I do think that Zach and Gary are like two good guys who genuinely want the best for this country. But I think there's nuances in kind of the tax wealth, not work mantra. Mainly that there are different kinds of wealth, right? There's active wealth and there's passive wealth. And we want to be encouraging this kind of active wealth. When it comes to like taxing people just, buying up fucking properties in like random seaside towns and just killing the community there, I'm all for finding ways to solve that issue, right? People just parking their wealth in property, passive wealth, I think is dumb and is not good for society. But that active wealth, that like funding risky ventures, going and creating a new biotech company that could really change how we treat complex disease, or creating a nuclear fission company, like that kind of audacity, I want to encourage more of that, and I think we can do that. The way that I think we sell it in the UK is that communitarian capitalism, you should take the biggest fucking swing you can, because if you fail, you've still got the NHS here, you've still got a strong welfare state here. And that idea of we'll catch you if you fall, like we can do that here in the same way that the Scandis have done it. There are more concrete things as well, right? Making sure that we don't forget the North when we do this, in the same way that we have this golden triangle of like Oxford, Cambridge and the London unis. Make sure we do it for the North as well. Manchester, Edinburgh, Leeds, stopping that brain drain from them all coming to London, keeping them where they want to be with their families, etc., and like just investing more and more in Manchester. Those kind of things, right? They require long-term thinking. They require us to think more like how the Chinese have thought about their long-term planning and investment of, we need to really set a society for the future generations where they feel like they can take their risk. Because most people are going to fail. When I eventually go start my company or join an early stage company, I'm most likely going to fail, but we do it anyway. We learn from that failure, we pass on that knowledge to the next generation, and then it just carries on growing and growing and growing, and then eventually someone's going to get a win. We've had people get wins already despite all the obstacles. People like Demis Savis. one of the greatest founders, in my opinion, the greatest Britain that we've had since Alan Turing. And he managed to succeed in building really the first true AI for science company, got acquired by Google, obviously. And he did that at a time when startups weren't as big a thing here, where London wasn't having the groundswell it's had in the past 6 months. You know, I read a book on Brexit by a guy called Steve Rayson, called The Fall of the Red Wall, about how these northern towns ended up switching to voting Conservative and eventually leading to Brexit happening. There's one quote that I keep coming back to, which was, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, but it's around how narrative isn't just the story we tell ourselves, but it's the actual mechanism that structures how we understand the topic. And if we tell ourselves a narrative of we are risk-averse people, we will act like we're risk-averse. The past 30 years of Britain has been almost this managed decline of empire's over, we're a failing nation, we're not going to invest in public services, we're not going to invest in startups and create technology that could change the world. We're not going to do any of that. And over the past 6 months to a year, I've seen just a bunch of very energetic founders and scientists in London. And I'm sure there are pockets of that all over the country that if we just harness that, we can solve these problems and get out of that malaise that we're just currently in. To do that as well, we need a better story. And it's not just like this blind techno-optimism, it's a grounded techno-optimism, building ethical technology. And honestly, a lot of that narrative is about just believing we can do hard things again. We're the same country that in the period of that 1945 to 50 range built an entire welfare state while we were out-bombed. We can build a fucking metro system in Leeds, you know? We can invest in technologies that are going to change the world. I really love this country, man. I love the UK, and I really believe in the future of what it can be. We've got the capital, we've got the talent, we've got that safety net that will catch us if we fall. All we got to do is jump, man. All we got to do is jump, and hold me to it, because I think I'm going to be trying to jump pretty soon.